Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan here at the cast. Big one upon us, everyone. It's the biggest game of the year, the Rose Bowl, Pasadena. It's
The
gonna be
granddaddy of them all.
it's the granddaddy of them all, the best sunset in sports. It's uh, Cass. I think you kind of on the sports calendar. Where does this fall on the sports calendar for you? Because I know you're big on your whole sports calendar.
Um, well, I always say baseball always starts the sports calendar for me.
Hmm.
Oh no, football starts the sports calendar for me, the 2024, 2025. So we're halfway done with the sports calendar. Um, I think once the Super Bowl ends, that's the end of the halfway point because then you'll have March Madness, and then opening day for baseball, and that will end it. The NBA finals kind of end it for me.
Yeah.
And then we get a little bit of break, and then we get into actually I think the MLB All-Star game is the end of it because usually after the MLB All-Star game I'm pretty much baseballed out
Yeah, until October. I feel you. Uh,
until yeah.
but basically, this is the big one.
It's number one on my bucket list, and I'm a little jealous of Blake getting to go for his second time, but I hope he has a blast, because this is number one on my bucket list of all sports. And people are like, well, why do you say the Rose Bowl is number one on your bucket list when there's the Super Bowl? I was like, let me tell you, I love
are
college
full
football.
now.
Yeah, I love college football. And growing up, I've always loved Ohio State football. You know, one of my first fond memories is watching the 97 Rose Bowl, the 96 season, the 97 Rose Bowl, and just hearing Brett Musburger saying, the granddaddy of them all. And, obviously, when it comes to sports broadcasting, we lost a great one over the weekend with Greg Gumbel.
Yeah, I'm sad.
And, now, you look at it, Keith Jackson's gone, Greg Gumbel's gone. And, obviously, we don't have Brett Musburger anymore calling games. But when you think of the Rose Bowl, you think of Keith Jackson and Brent Musburger and the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. And I know we're conference foes now, but this is a traditional Pac-12, Pac-10 versus Big Ten Rose Bowl, even though we're in the same conference. And this is a huge one because, in my opinion, the winner of this game will win the national championship.
I agree. It does feel like this is the Natty, which it's so fitting that it is the Rose Bowl out of all the venues. It also feels like this is the Big Ten championship. It just this game feels right out of all the games, And look, Boise State, Penn State, that's gonna be a cool game. I mean that does feel right. That also feels right for both teams playing that. The Sugar Bowl is it's a little weird. Notre Dame is not a traditional Sugar Bowl team. Georgia is, and then the Peach Bowl, Texas, Arizona State. That's a wonky one. But Ohio State, Oregon, they've played before in the Rose Bowl too. People forget.
Twice.
Yeah, the who can forget the Terrell Pryor to DeVere Posey for the win basically in what was that 2010. Someone was saying, "Oh, that win got vacated." No, 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 no. That was 2009, 2010, 2010, 11 got vacated because the tattoo gate, but prior to
And,
that
it was,
did not get
and,
vacated.
and I believe in the 50s, we beat them 28-0 in the Rose Bowl. Um, and they're bringing out their flashy uniforms. Weird, they're wearing like chrome green helmets with their old school green jerseys, which I love, and their old school white pants. I love the jerseys and pants, but the helmets just don't fit right for this Oregon team. I know they can wear so many uniform combinations, but what I love is the Buckeyes. Just something feels right when Ohio State wears the traditional white uniform, with the Rose Bowl patch, and then they're bringing back the Rose Bowl stripe with the stripe. But if you look back, we beat Oregon with our traditional Rose Bowl uniforms. We beat Arizona State with our white traditional Rose Bowl uniform. Obviously, we wore our scarlet against Utah and Washington in recent memory, but when it came to because I look at the Oregon game in 2009/2010 and the 1997 Rose Bowl in 90 because we prevented this. We have an opportunity now to prevent another team from winning a national championship because we prevented Jake the Snake Plummer in 97 from winning a national championship. And we have an opportunity to do that with Dylan Gabriel and the Oregon Ducks. Just something. I love our scarlet uniforms. I'm obviously wearing my Jack Sawyer right now, but something just feels right about the Rose Bowl, Ohio State wearing their traditional whites.
I feel like every time Ohio State wears the traditional whites in a bowl game, they mean business. I specifically, I think of the 2020 Justin Fields team against Clemson in their whites. Um, there's
Not
just
the traditional ones, but I wearing the white uniforms. I get it.
just the white in general. I know people get all caught up in, oh, the sleeves or didn't have this, and oh, they
We
people.
we wore our traditional whites in the 2003 Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, it's just about, it's white. That's all I'm getting.
Mhm.
Like some people really get caught up in what they have on the patches, like the sleeves and stuff. I just think our white uniforms are so clean. Um, I think we're gonna look really good in them, and it's kind of good. It's kind of good too because, you know, in the first game we played against Oregon, we were in white to begin with. So like we kind of played and like we've played in those uniforms against them this year. So I feel like psychologically that kind of adds some type. This is all me just talking, but I think that kind of adds something psychologically.
And
Um,
what's crazy too is we're the lowest seed left, right? But we have the second best odds to win the national championship. We're going to be wearing our whites the rest of the way.
yeah,
So I I look at on the field wise, you have I loved Will Howard's approach.
me too.
Like the way he came out and said, "This is a business trip. We're not here to sightsee." I love that out of Will Howard.
Yeah,
He has a bad taste in his mouth from the way that game ended. Denzel Burke came out and said, I didn't, I didn't. He said that I didn't expect him to go one on one with me, a lot in that game. And, obviously the way he's talking, looking for a bounce back. Jeremiah Smith said, better not leave me one on one because we're going to throw me the ball. And, you
well,
know,
Will Howard too. He also came out and said basically, if you turn on the tape, he doesn't feel as if Ohio State has anyone's beaten Ohio State this year. They've beaten themselves. We like Ohio State.
correct.
I that's absolutely truthful. I said that in the Michigan game at halftime when the game was going. I'm like, this team's beating themselves against Oregon. Like they beat themselves. I truly think if Ohio State plays like they did against Tennessee, no one's gonna beat this team. The thing is though, can they keep replicating that and keep doing the same thing over and over and basically, not shooting themselves in the foot? I don't know. We'll see, but the mentality you can see just the look they have on their faces too when they pulled up. They're locked in. They looked they
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 look ready to go.
they look ready. They're not messing around. I think Chip and Ryan are gonna let it loose again. They're not gonna hold back again, which is great. The one thing I wanted to point out is just Quinshon Judkins in the first matchup. Not using this as an excuse, but realistically, he was probably 70 to 80%. And that's
Yeah,
just
he had the hand surgery.
he literally had a hand surgery that week. I don't care, like, and I give the guy all the credit because he never, he had the ball ripped out of him on that one play, and I believe that was his bad hand. Um, the fact is though, he's heating up now, Judkins. Um, and with Judkins in the run game heating up, and also we're not going to lose, Josh Simmons again in the middle of the game. I think that was a big factor. Um, with the offensive line situation, kind of, it's not perfect, but
It worked last
it
week.
it worked, and it's a lot better situation than it is in losing your starting left tackle on the road. Like now, this is a veteran like Donovan Jackson. I'm very, I think we're good there. Um, I think it's just a completely different situation. But Judkins is going to be 100% for this. Oregon, it, when you watch if you put on the Boise State tape, and I know it's Ashton Genty, so maybe that's not the best
No,
example.
you put on their last game.
Penn State.
Penn State ran up and down the field on them.
Penn and they've I think they've exposed something because I think they are very susceptible to a running attack, like getting gashed, and I think what's going to happen is, obviously I'm hyping up Jeremiah Smith on Twitter. This is his revenge game. I hope they like really, they play. I hope they play, cover two. They drop two safeties because if they do that, I think this team's going to run down their throats all day. Uh,
If they do that, hello Emeka and hello Carnell Tate.
that too, and then once they move a safety into the box, that's when you take a shot to Jeremiah right away. So I think there's going to be a lot of chess being played too, but and it also felt like every time we got Trey on the perimeter against
And
him,
it,
he had that like 50-yard run. He didn't get in the end zone, but he we can attack him on the perimeter with Trey, getting him in space. So it's
and what helps us too is I think Ohio State can control the game by playing their slow pace game. They
I
can keep that Oregon offense off the field, control the clock, kind of like they did in the first game, because obviously Dylan Gabriel had some explosive plays on their offensive side, but I am not worried about what our offense is going to do. Obviously, I hope our offensive line holds up, but I think the game plan is get it out quick to your receivers and let the running backs, run, because we struggled to run the football last time. And I think with offensively, get it out quick to our receivers, because I think they're going to do two high safeties, and I think it's a Carnell Tate, Emeka Ibuka type ball game where we're going to control the clock, get some easy first downs, get some positive yards, open up the running game, and then open up Jeremiah, and we're going to control the clock and keep Dylan Gabriel off the field. My biggest issue is obviously what I know our defense has improved so much since the Oregon game.
yeah,
How is Davison Igbinosun and Denzel Burke going to approach this game? I feel like they're going to be a lot better, um, because there was Tez Johnson,
and
Evan
Ashton
Stewart.
Stewart.
They're good. They're great receivers. These are obviously the best receivers we're going to see all season again, and probably in my opinion, the best quarterback we've seen all season again. The thing with the Oregon though, we got burnt because we allowed our corners to be on an island and we did not bring pressure. Will we bring pressure on Dylan Gabriel? That is the question. And I know he scored a touchdown with his legs, but I'd rather Dylan Gabriel beat us with his legs than his arm.
Absolutely. Well, the funny thing is, I was watching the film and stuff right before we got on here. One issue I noticed was tackling, believe it or not, in that
Yeah.
Cody Simon on one run, and it was James, the running back. He had him dead to rights for a loss on, I believe it was the first or second drive, and he ended up getting a long, like 20-yard gain and set him up first and goal at like the one, and then they punched it in like a play or two later. Um,
Sonny had a bad game too.
Sonny also had a bad game, and then on the Gabriel run, Lathan was right there. Lathan Ransom was right there, just missed the tackle.
Yeah.
Um, I
See,
I, I think we have to play because I think where Lathan was in position, we need to have Downs in that position, and then I think we might have to move Lathan back a little deeper, and he needs to be
I
over the top.
I 100% agree. We gotta bring pressure with the front four. I think Tyleek Williams, who's finally 100% healthy, was not 100% healthy against Oregon the first time. Ty Hamilton, Jack Sawyer, JTT, Caden Curry, Kanada Jackson. Can you get pressure on Dylan Gabriel? Force him outside of the pocket. And I'm not saying necessarily have a spy on Dylan Gabriel, but because you don't want to, have somebody just chase him, but make him beat you with his legs rather than his arm. I think we're going to stop the run.
I, I
Um,
mean, I feel like too they don't do short passes for the most part.
no,
It's
and
long, passes.
if you allow Gabriel to beat you with his legs and instead of his arms, and you stop the running game, it's going to be a long day for Oregon. Um,
It,
Oregon's a good football
oh,
team.
sorry, I cut you off. It feels
Next
like
time,
like in the Michigan game, we criticized Ryan Day and Chip Kelly because we felt the offensive playbook was limited. I kind of feel like it was the same thing against Oregon, except you flip it to the defensive side. It felt like our defensive playbook was limited for
Yeah.
some reason. And I feel like this is a game maybe where Jim Knowles goes into his bag and really opens it up. And I think just having Lathan maybe dropping, because I've toyed with this. I'm like, oh, do we do Downs? Do we do Caleb instead of late? Like, do we
We're
drop?
forgetting Jordan Hancock too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and or like I'm thinking we drop Lathan though because or have him cheat to Denzel's side just because I know like Lathan and Denzel like they have a very good relationship. Like they have very good chemistry. It's known like they're best buds. Um I think that would just make sense. Igbinosun and yeah, Hancock and Igbinosun on that side, and then we gotta have as much as I want to put Downs deep. It's not his game. It's just I mean he can play that obviously. I'm not saying, but it's just he's so critical in the run game and just keeping like how quickly he fills and makes tackles that I want him near the line of scrimmage. So when you know if Dylan Gabriel thinks about running, he's right there. Like we're right there.
And
And then he can stop James too.
here's the situation. If you go on Twitter, this is off field now. You go on Twitter, and Ohio State fans are very confident. We're very confident because we believe with what we saw against Tennessee is what we're going to see against Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon's fans are getting cocky. We're going to beat. We had things that didn't go our way, blah blah blah, and we could have won by bigger. Okay, you're not going to see a fluky onside kick again that hits one of our guys. You're not going to see these bullcrap plays because Ohio State's going to be ready for it
Yeah.
and you're not going to see a fluky 12 man on the field. Ohio State's going to line up and strap it up, and if Ohio State punches Oregon in the mouth, it's over.
Also, the refs I feel like are unnoticed because our fan base and the media has kind of been very vocal that the fact is Ohio State is dead last in penalties against. And if you watch the tape and stuff, there's just no way because our guys are always getting held, and look, it's the tale as old as time. We know this, but the fact that like we're all pointing it out now, being hey, you better call this game
Yeah,
fair. But
I mean, you look at it this way: name two defensive ends, whether it's National Football League or college football, that don't get holding calls called on them, and there's blatant holds every day, every play, and that's Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals and Jack Sawyer of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
what's funny too is so you go back and watch and I'm crediting Michigan. I'm gonna make that clear. They won fair and square. But
Yep.
like the Mullings like 20-yard run that kind of really broke our back, it felt like in that game. So it was held.
And,
And I didn't even realize at the time because I was just so upset. But if you go back, he was held.
yep.
And we just never get the calls. And we're just so numb to this from the Tyreek Smith, Chase Young days, where Tyreek Smith would get to have a one-on-one opportunity every time because Chase Young was getting manhandled by three guys while getting held, and then Tyreek Smith would get blatantly held, and like they would just never call it
Yep.
because we're just Ohio State, and they just refuse to give us the benefit of the doubt because then it's a cheat code.
Yep. I think Ryan Day is going to coach with his hair on fire. I think
Yeah. Oh yeah.
he wants this. I know where people are saying it's not a revenge game, but he wants this. And I think Ohio State, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, Ohio State doesn't win the Natty, it's over for Ryan Day. No. Ohio State goes out and beats Tennessee. That's our third top five win, right? This year so far.
Yeah.
Top 10 win. We go out and beat Oregon, that's number 4. We go out and then we end up playing possibly Texas. That's number 5. Or Arizona State. That's number 5. We go out and play Notre Dame, Penn State, Georgia. That's number 6. Ryan Day needs this. I don't think obviously if we lose, I obviously Ryan Day is not gone. But I want us to lose not on a bogus what's that word, loophole with the 12 man penalty, or there was 1 second left with Will Howard. I think that ate at Will Howard, and he's thinking about it. And I think with this game, I think Ohio State's ready. They're focused. Ryan Day's ready. He's focused. Chip Kelly. They don't want to go out like this. They don't want to lose twice to Oregon. And the odds of teams beating teams twice in a season, and no matter what league, is very slim. And I'm not saying as be confident, but I am in I'm obviously I'm nervous. I'm a Buckeye fan. I'm a nervous. I'll be a nervous wreck, Wednesday. But I'm very confident, optimistic, confident that the Buckeyes are going to win by a touchdown. And I haven't been able to think of what the score was going to be until just now, but I think the Buckeyes win 28-20 because I think, again, Dan Lanning goes for two. Oregon always goes for two, and they're going to fail again. And I think the Buckeyes are going to win 28-20 because we're going to control the clock. We're going to control this game, and we're going to be a lot better on defense. And you know what? Oregon's going to make plays. We haven't given up a touchdown pass since the Oregon game. I think we're still going to I think we'll give up one because Oregon is one of the best teams in the country. They're undefeated for a reason. 28-20, Buckeyes beat Oregon.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 31-28. I see this as a back and forth classic. Um, Real quick, I'm trying to pull up the tweet from Kyle Lamb because he did a whole, yes, all right. Kyle Lamb, if people remember him, he used to be like an Ohio State podcaster, and then I don't know what he's doing these days. I think he's doing something political, but he used to be everyone knows Kyle Lamb if from the OG Twitter days. He tweeted this on December 23rd. He said, in their first meeting, Oregon beat Ohio State by 1 point at home. OSU is currently a 2.5 point favorite and likely will stay that way. Why? In the past 25 years, in 56 FBS rematches, I found the losing team margin was less in the rematch 43 of 56 times by an average of 11 points. So just using that data, if Ohio State lost by 1 and the data basically shows 43 out of 56 times, I don't know the percentage on that right away. I'm going to say that's probably in the 80s. 43 divided by 56, 76% of the time, almost 77% of the time, the margin gets reduced. Well, there's no fewer margin less than 1. So by that logic, they should win. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think it's gonna be classic though. I really do,
Yeah,
dude.
it's going to be. And 28-20, that's still a classic. Still a classic.
31-28 is a classic. 20 is a classic. It's if the game's a one score game, it's going to be a classic.
Yep.
And there will be controversy. I know. You know, Ohio State fans or Oregon fans, we'll be screaming, and then we'll have the Sugar Bowl after to kind of calm down. Um, which that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But um, I'm feeling confident. I'm nervous but confident. I felt kind of like I guess Clemson 2020. I would compare it to. That's how I feel right now.
And we know what Justin Fields and them did. Um, they destroyed Clemson, and that's the thing about Ryan Day. What's he do against teams that he coaches revenge against? He destroys them. And I'm not saying he's going to destroy Oregon because I think Oregon's a better team than that Clemson team, but we're a good football team. And 28-20, that's my score. 31-28, that's his score. Going to be a great one. Granddaddy of them all.
It really is. Yeah. Um, do you have any keys to the game
Just
to
play your game.
play your game? I'm gonna say my key is run the dang ball. And then
Quit with the trick plays, Jet. Run the dang ball.
we're gonna do the opposite kind of what we did against Tennessee. I know we started the game by just bombing it to Jeremiah and Mecca and stuff. I think they're gonna be ready for that, so I think we're gonna run it. I think we gotta run it down their throats. I think we gotta establish the line of scrimmage, get Judkins going, get Trey in space. And then once we get that run game going, and the clock basically, we're controlling the clock, controlling the line of scrimmage. That's when you take your shots. And my second key, just I know they have three good receivers. They have obviously Holden's going to be playing the whole game too. They'll have Tez Johnson and Stewart, just two burners, freak athletes. Don't forget about the tight end Ferguson. Do not forget about him. He is also an issue. Um, I, I honestly have no idea how we're gonna defend him in the three receivers. I think he's gonna probably be the one guy who's gonna be open a lot, and he's a big body guy. Um, so maybe this is Sonny's chance, or like we drop Hancock on him or something like that. Um, or Lathan, I could see taking him at times. So just key in the tight end too. Just focus on that tight end.
I say just play your game, be physical, and at the point of attack, and just be physical with them. Make them know that hey, we're here to play, and we're not going nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're a great team, Oregon, and they got Burke
Yep,
back.
they're a good team.
I will say this though. I don't think I think Mateo Ugalele is the best defensive lineman on that team. And I know everyone loves Burke, and I know, but like Mateo has the number. He'll over like 10 and a half sacks this year, and he's way younger than Burke. Like he's a problem.
And his dad talks the talk too on Twitter.
Yeah.
But the other three uh, quarterfinal games. Obviously, with our new platform, we can't give predictions and stuff like that. But I think they're going to be really good games. I am pulling hard for the Sun Devils and the Irish because I don't want no SEC teams in there. And did Iowa beat Missouri today?
No, Missouri won. Iowa had it was a fourth down and like they were like inside Missouri territory with like a minute left, 4th and 1. They did a tush push, didn't get it. Um, we also have the Reliquist Bowl tomorrow. Really excited for that one. Roll Tide.
Ooh.
Um,
High tide, high tide,
high tide, high tide.
high tide.
Yeah. By the way, Tennessee fans, this is the way it works. If if you go and start cheering
And
for,
Bama fans.
I will go out and buy Alabama gear. Like I will wear Alabama gear tomorrow just to spite you guys because like we kept it cordial. I have respect for you guys. Cass doesn't, but like if you keep doing this nonsense, I will wear all Alabama gear tomorrow, and I'll be Alabama Dan. I will like don't
High
test
tide.
high tide.
High
Uh,
tide.
yeah, so I'm excited for that. In the
She's at
Fiesta
Citrus
Bowl,
Bowl tomorrow too.
I think the Fiesta Bowl, the Penn State, Boise State, I think that's going to be a great one.
I think it's gonna be a good one. I think Boise State keeps it close.
I think they're pesky. I want to be like what's crazy is we literally saw Boise State go into Oregon and lose by 3 and they were up in the
Yep.
fourth. Like, Penn State, they fought well against Oregon too, but just comparing those games, I like
James Franklin too. It's James
it, it,
Franklin.
it is. It's that's the truth, man. This is a game where you would think Penn State, they have like why even play the game? Penn State's gonna
Yep.
up
Hey,
them.
Penn State. Look up the '07 Fiesta Bowl. Tell us
Yeah,
how that was.
yeah. No, I'm never counting Boise State out. I just they're such a great program. You gotta respect them.
And in thinking the Sugar Bowl, I think Notre Dame's going to be too much for Georgia. Georgia's a good football team, but I think with Georgia losing Carson Beck, it's good. It's going to hurt. They're not going to have no downfield throwing game, so Notre Dame's going to load the box and stop the run.
If well, the problem is Notre Dame lost. I believe it was their one of their
North
def-
Carolina.
one of their defensive tackles, who's like a monster. Um, I will say Notre Dame's playing. The defense is legit. Their defense is legit. They can run the ball. It's going to come down to just it's going
Marcus Freeman versus Kirby Smart.
to that no. It's also going to come down to just Georgia's backup quarterback. Everyone who's watched him play in like practice and mount up time says he's fantastic, and I'm sure the guy is good. I I don't think that's going to be the biggest issue here. My thing is the lines. This is where this game is going to be won or lost. It's just going to come down to the trenches. And that's what I truly believe. Is Notre Dame ready to handle Georgia, the big boys from the South? That's my question, Cass. Do you think Notre Dame could handle them?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I know at least on defense, Notre Dame has a great secondary.
I hate Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And look, the Love kid, the running back, he might be going on an Ezekiel Elliott tear. Like he could piece together another game or two. You're looking at he's going to be entering Zeke territory, which is crazy. You're rolling your eyes at this, but he ran like 98 yards against India. I know it's Indiana, but if he pieces that against Georgia, and then the next round does something like he's entering a unique territory. I just want to point that out.
It's possible. It's possible. I still think it comes down to coaching, but I think Notre Dame does it. I think Notre Dame does it. I'd love to see Scatterboo do it against Texas, but I don't think Arizona State's going to have enough power to beat Texas. But we'll
No,
see.
you know what game that? Okay, it's kind of funny because the way these playoffs have shaped out, like the first round was just like nice and easy, I feel like for everyone. This round feels like the conference championship weekend. And then the next week, that once it's the final four, it's like, okay, now it's the playoff of old.
Yep,
Like it
yep,
feels like the Arizona State Texas game, bro, feels like the Big 12 championship from like the last like 10 years. And it's always like Oklahoma or Texas, and it's always someone like Ohio State needs to beat them, and they never do. And that's who Arizona State is. Like they're gonna be like Baylor or like Oklahoma State and lose by like 25, and it's gonna be a terrible noon game, and we're gonna just all be sitting there like, well, like I'm glad there was football on, but this was a terrible game.
yeah. It might be the worst game of the weekend.
I agree. That's no, and it's if Texas
But
does if Texas blows this, I'd be shocked.
I
I'd be
I will say this: if Texas and Georgia lose, SEC fans, you better wait. You better just sit back and take take it all in, especially if Ohio State wins. If Texas if Texas and Georgia lose and Ohio State wins, I'm telling you what, I'm going to be the most unbearable Big Ten fan out there.
realistically, I see it being revenge of the SEC this weekend.
Yeah, I do too.
I see Georgia, Texas advance. I know you said Notre Dame. I think Georgia and Texas advance. And then it's gonna be. I think Boise State knocks off Penn State, and then it's gonna be one Big Ten team versus two SEC teams in Boise State, and then the SEC fans are gonna be chirping on Twitter for the next week, and then we have to.
Next year.
Yeah, so buckle up. It's gonna be a great, 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 great slate of games this week. I'm so psyched.
Yep. And Happy New Year, everybody. I hope 2025 is going to be a great year for all y'all. I hope 2025 is going to be good for myself and the podcast. We got a lot of big things coming for next year, a lot of tweaks to the show once football season comes up. Obviously, one football season does end, we usually take our normal break, even though basketball season, and this year might be different because with basketball season, by the time the playoffs are over, basketball season is gonna be half over. So it's gonna be a little bit different. Um,
I know we haven't barely touched upon basketball right now, but we got a couple
yeah,
minutes.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Shout out, we did trivia a couple days ago. Oh, well, yesterday raffled off some basketball tickets. They Indiana State valiant effort against the Buckeyes. They're a very good offense, by the way. Indiana State they were
Yep.
NFC runner ups. Like people were not crediting Indiana State. They're very very good opponent in my opinion for the Buckeyes, but they're legit right now, dude. And
I really hope we beat Oregon because when I go to the Oregon basketball game next Thursday, I hope it's a happy game.
me too, man. Me too.
That's all I got, man.
Uh,
28-20.
I just want to congratulate you real quick. Great win by your Bengals. I tip my hat. Just well done. Um, if it's not the Broncos, I hope the Bengals make the playoffs. That's where I'm at. It was a sad game for me, but it was. I just Joe Burrow, man.
The
He's
MVP. The MVP. I don't
it,
care what anybody says.
I don't understand how he's not the MVP. I get Josh Allen, Lamar. Oh, they're the two, probably three seeds. That's great. Joe Burrow is literally '07 LeBron on the Cavs with Zadrunas Elgauskas and no one else.
I
Like,
wouldn't go that far because he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So
well, I mean, in football though, if you have three good guys out of 22, that's basically like having Zadrunas and
and he's
LeBron.
got Trey. Only got one guy on defense, Trey Hendrickson. who's the most held defensive end in the National Football League.
Jamar Chase's Eastern Conference Finals, Booby Gibson. Like it's the most insane thing I've ever seen, and it's just what he's doing for the Bengals.
It's the two. Honestly, it's the 2017 Cleveland Cavaliers.
Literally, or it's John, who is it? John Cena and Randy Orton versus the entire Raw roster or whatever someone posted. It's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase for it's just every game. It's just them and T Higgins. T.
Trey Hendrickson.
Imagine starting T Higgins in your fantasy league this week in your championship and losing.
Uh,
That's how I think it was for me.
that's rough. That's rough. I started Joe Burrow, but I wasn't in championship. So
Oh, and in another league, I went against Joe Burrow. So I was
here's what sucks. Cleveland, when I needed you the most, you failed.
I
You
know.
failed.
I know. Like I was.
Thank you, Giants. The Giants showed up, but you couldn't beat a Tua Tagovailoa list Miami Dolphins team at home.
The Colts were dead. The Colts were dead regardless. They were not making the playoffs. I'm like, I don't know how they could even gone in because the Broncos had the tiebreaker and the only team that they could have. I don't know.
But I'm rooting for Breeze Jets this week so hard.
Me too. No, I got the Garrett Wilson jersey on, bro.
I, I did.
Also, go Steelers this week.
I did hear somebody tweet. Yeah, I did hear somebody tweet out and said the Jets signing Aaron Rodgers is like banging your 40-year old your high school crush, and now that's 40 years old that has 5 children.
Jeez.
That's pretty rough, but
We could go on all day about this, bro. We got about 10 seconds left. I just want to wish
go
everyone a
Bucks.
happy new year. Go Bucks. Beat the Ducks. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast.